when you reach out to somebody, whether it's cold, whether it's, somebody you've known for years, don't just, again, say, I want to build you a chatbot or you need a chatbot, right? Show them something tangible. It's the biggest thing for me, and it's become especially true in college when there's just a lot of abstract stuff.
Welcome to Hustleshare, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster, Baetiong.
Welcome to episode 18 of the Hustleshare podcast. My name is Ronster, and I'm your host. And this episode is brought to you by Payroll Hero, a time, attendance, scheduling, HR, and payroll solution for Philippine companies. If it's your first time listening to the show, welcome on board, and we're glad you're here. And basically, Hustleshare is a podcast that lets you improve your hustle by learning from other hustlers. So in this podcast, we don't talk about the stuff that we usually talk about in the press or in the media. We talk about the grit, the grind, and everything else in between. Now, I'd like to give you a heads up because there's a lot of profanity that we use in this program. So if you're not comfortable with that, please make sure that you're not surrounded by kids or you're turning the volume down. So this episode is quite special because we're going to be talking to someone who's associated in my main hustle. So for those of you who don't know my background, I am the founder of Chatbot PH. It's a chatbot development agency. And in this episode, we're going to be talking to a world-renowned chatbot maker. His name is Andrew Demeter, and he is the social media manager and community manager of ChatFuel, the world's largest chatbot making platform. Now, on a regular day, Andrew does Facebook Live often and supports a lot of chatbot makers around the world by helping them out. But in this episode, he's going to talk about how he started out this journey in creating his own bots, even though he was not a programmer at first. Then after that, he's also going to be talking about how he created a course to help other people create their very first chatbot, which eventually led to him being hired by ChatFuel themselves. Other than that, he's also going to be talking about what makes a good chatbot and how you can properly execute and design one, along with the integrations you need to properly make it work. And lastly, we're going to go a little personal because he's going to be talking about how he copes with stress, his struggles, and the challenges of helping others create their own chatbot as well, while being a full-time student in college. And as a bonus, he's also going to give us tips on what he thinks the next wave of chatbot automation and artificial intelligence will be like in the near future. So if you're ready to learn about this Wonder Boy's hustle, let's begin this episode right now. Welcome to the latest episode of the Hustleshare podcast. We're very excited because for the first time, we're gonna do a deep dive on what I do literally on my main hustle. Because as you guys know, I'm doing Hustleshare and whatnot. But for the first time ever, we're gonna be talking about something that's close to my heart, something that allows me to do Hustleshare now, which is chatbots. And we don't just have some random dude in chatbot making and whatnot. This guy is respected across the world, around the whole globe. So if you're a flat earther, yeah, it's around the flat surface that you're in. And we have none other than the world famous, I'm going to do it, my man, Andrew Demeter from ChatFuel. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you. You can't see me on video right now, but I'm bowing in honor and respect of what you just said.
Bruh, I told you, right? You're legit, and any legit chatbot maker, whether you're a novice or a pro, knows you because you've enabled so many bot makers' lives, and you just made you make people's lives easier, both on the customer side and the bot maker side.
That is ultimately the goal, and I can talk more about this later. But yeah, I'm working on this campaign right now about kind of selling ChatFuel in the way that you're talking about, more as like a lifestyle, basically, where we're not so much selling the product, whereas we're selling automation and efficiency, saving you time so you can spend it in more meaningful ways in your life, with your family, traveling, etc. So 100%.
And that's exactly what chatbots are, right? I mean, chatbots are designed to automate redundant and key repetitive tasks. But before we do that, Andrew, let's just discuss what's your hustle?
Wow, that is a great question. So I'll kind of convey it to you in story form. Essentially, I'm in college right now. I'm a junior, so it's my third year of 4 years in college, and it all started in my freshman year, actually. So the first year of school for me, it was like halfway through my first year, and it was wintertime, so I'm here in Washington, D.C. It was cold outside, snowy outside, and one day I was just scrolling through my Facebook newsfeed, as one does, and I came across this ad that said, I forget obviously what the specific copy said, but it was basically something to the effect of, comment on this post and we'll send you a surprise. And I was like, whoa, what's this? Like, I've never seen this before. During this time period also, I was really into learning about marketing. I was taking some different courses, not in school, just on my own time. So I was scrolling through the newsfeed, saw this ad, and I commented on it, and then magically I get this message. I'm like, whoa, like, what is this wizardry? Never seen this happen before. Yeah, exactly. So that happened, and then, of course, out of curiosity, I was doing my own research, and then I came across ChatFuel. I don't know if it's still the case, but we were apparently, at the time I shouldn't say we because I wasn't working there, but I saw ChatFuel as the first result. We had clearly great SEO, and so then I just started, playing around. It was either that same day or in the following week or whatever. So I was playing around with ChatFuel. I still actually have my first bot that I ever built, which was completely crazy and like it had no purpose, which is funny to look back on. So
a lot of gibberish.
Exactly. I specifically remember it was like this bot for selling pizza, even though clearly I had no pizza shop or anything like that. And it's just funny to look back on and see how much things have evolved. So I made this bot. I was just playing around with it. And then after a couple weeks of doing this, speaking of hustle, one of the things that I did to really improve my skills and try to reach out to people as clients during this time was kind of just reach out within my network of connections or influencers, if you want to call them that. And so I would actually build a bot based on like their brand, their personality, and then I would, at the time, I would actually just send them a link to the bot, which in hindsight was a big mistake and it didn't work very well, even though I had this close connection to them because they were like, how is this beneficial? I should have done a video or, hopped on a call with them and explained it. But anyway, so I was building these bots, trying to build my expertise, if you want to call it that, just trying to play around and see what works and what doesn't. Eventually, I decided, I'm learning all this crazy cool stuff. And so then in the summer after that first year in college, I went back home to Ohio where I live. And during that time period, I was still doing the same stuff, working on all these bots. But at one point, I was like, I'm learning all of this really, really cool stuff that it seems like nobody else is talking about. And when it comes to me sharing information, I'm not like the secretive type to be like, buy my course, or well, more on the course in a second. I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite in that sense, but I'm not the kind of person to be like, ooh, these are like secret strategies I'm not going to tell you. So long story short, I decided to create an outline of all the cool stuff I was learning in ChatFuel, all these new marketing strategies you could use. So then from that, I recorded this video course. It was really spontaneous and haphazard. I created the outline one day, and then the next day I spent like 6 hours straight in front of my computer filming the whole course. And then I took a few days to edit it, whatever, uploaded that to Udemy, which for those who don't know is just an online learning platform. And then I just started sharing it within my network. It kind of started gaining a little bit of traction. And then more students were signing up. I was kind of selling it, going back to the hustle question you had originally. I was reaching out to people in like Facebook groups. I was like, hey, there's this new, technology. And yes, I'm that annoying guy who will like find you in a Facebook group and try to sell you something.
Yep.
So
we were all like that at the start. So don't worry about
exactly.
that. Right.
Exactly. So then I started, selling this course. It was picking up. I was like, wow, this is, really cool that there's actually this demand, this interest in it. So then after that, basically, it was like the end of that summer. So I started the course at the beginning of the summer. At the end of it, I got this message one day, and I was just like completely blown away.
Right.
I got this message from the CEO of Chatfuel, Demeter on Facebook, because I was sharing parts of this course as well in the different chatbot groups that existed at the time. One of those being Andrew Warner's Bot Academy group.
Right.
And so one day then I posted a link to the course, and I was trying not to be spammy. So I was just like, hey, here's this free course, delete this if you want. Like, I'm not trying to be spammy. I'm just trying to be valuable and, help you guys. So I posted the course in there. Dmitry Dumek, again, the CEO of Chatfuel, was in that group as well. He saw it, took notice, and essentially we had like a call one day, then like the next week, which was funny. It was literally a day before I was going back to school for my sophomore year, my second year. He was basically like, hey, do you have time for a call? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I got on this like second call with him, again, the day before I'm going back to school. And he's basically like, hey, like, I really like what you do. Do you want to work for us? And I was like, well,
holy shit.
It was funny because in hindsight, or like looking back, I like to say like, oh yeah, well, I obviously took the job. But it was funny because I actually didn't immediately say yes. I was like, I'm going back to school. I don't know, what kind of time commitment I can give to Chatfuel. And if I'm working for you, I want to be doing something meaningful. And so at that point, he hired me part-time. And then once I got to school and I was getting more fluent with bots, I then started selling them. And so this was really exciting. It was the first like real business that actually made money that I had ever launched. I tried like a couple failed things in the past. So it was really exciting, right? I was working with these international clients. One of the coolest clients that I worked with was this big movie studio. Unfortunately, that's all I can say.
Okay, no problem.
And so yeah, I was just, so excited to be, doing meaningful work, obviously making money too, being in college, and then simultaneously working for Chatfuel. And then after long enough, I started this template marketplace as kind of a new service for the business instead of just creating bots.
Having to do it from scratch all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was really exciting. It was really like the peak of my existence because I would be getting messages from these people who want to buy my stuff who I had never even talked to. It went from really like cold pitching to people coming to me, which the course also helped in kind of building that credibility. I was getting requests to go to speaking engagements. I remember one of the coolest things working with Chatfuel was literally like 2 days before there was this technology conference in Denver, Colorado. Literally like a day or two before that.
Mile High City, my man. Mile High.
Exactly. So like a day or two before that actually happened, someone on the team was just like, hey, like we want to fly you out to go, like give a talk here. And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but sounds great. And I missed like a class or two for that, which, it had to happen. So, it was just all of this stuff happening at once, like traveling, going to California, going to Colorado, giving speeches, if you want to call them that, like making money, selling products, making a meaningful impact in people's lives, like saving them time. It was just, it was really a point where I was just happy to wake up. I remember there would be some nights where I would just like wake up in the middle of the night and I couldn't go back to sleep because I was just like so excited to, be doing what I was doing, which was awesome. So then eventually, to kind of finish up the story here, So I was working for Chat Fuel part-time. I was running the template marketplace.
Right.
I was in school, obviously, too. And then at a certain point, basically, Dmitry Dumik was like, "Hey, Andrew, like we want more of you," basically. And I was like, "I'm not ready to have kids." But he's like, "No, I don't mean that."
Clone. Right.
Exactly, the new sync copy feature that we
Right,
released.
right.
But basically, he was like, we want more of you. So basically, I agreed to like stop the business side of what I was doing due to conflict of interest that
Sure,
would potentially
makes sense.
arise, and go all in on Chat Fuel. So I negotiated and made that happen. And so now I'm here. I've been working for Chat Fuel full time for about a year now, including part time about like a year and a half, 2 years. And it's just been such a crazy journey. One of my favorite things that we did too was around last year at this time we went on this team retreat in California. Yeah, and it's exciting because, for those who don't know, we have two offices with Chat Fuel. One is in San Francisco.
Yeah, I've been there. The one with the big husky scared the fuck out of me. Like, ooh, why is there a husky in this office? But he was nice.
Yeah, and like and the train car outside, which
right.
I still don't get the point of that. But so anyway, it was really exciting because we all met in California, the San Francisco team, and then our other team in Moscow.
Right.
So it was cool. We spent like a week up in the mountains, the hills of California.
Nice.
And it was a great time. So yeah, it's just been an incredible opportunity to work at Chat Fuel, to be on the cutting edge of, the messenger space. And yeah, so I don't know if that answers your original question. I know I went on quite the rant there, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
That was good, but just to put things into perspective, real quick. You mentioned a lot about being in college, right? How young are you exactly right now?
I am 21.
Holy shit! What was I doing in 21? I was partying like crazy when I was 21. And you're making this again. I was telling you prior to recording this, you had an indelible mark over how you're helping, because you're not just like creating bots, right? I mean, we all started like that at one way or another, and then we came across Chat Fuel. We had a very similar journey, actually. That's how I met Chat Fuel. When we were starting as an agency, this around circa 2016, I literally just bought. I saw a keynote of Zuckerberg saying, "Hey, you can now put chatbots in Chat Fuel. I mean, in Facebook Messenger." And my first startup has just recently died. Literally, I didn't know shit about bots, but I said, you know what, there might be an opportunity. I'll check out GoDaddy if that domain is still available. Voila, it's still available. I bought it. I didn't know shit, and then I just researched. The first thing that popped was Chat Fuel, and it's very similar to how you did it. I literally just created a bot out of nowhere. I didn't know shit what I was doing, but what I love about, again, not tooting Chat Fuel's horn, it's so easy that you just need some good logic in your brain, or just even basic logic, and you'll be able to create a bot on your own. Then we just started selling that along with a PowerPoint deck. So great job. But Andrew, last question before we take our first break. When you say you're now full time and you're doing this, can you just shed some light over what you do now on a daily basis to make this work as a community manager? Because this is not an easy job, man.
Yeah. So basically, unlike many people think, I'm not a robot. I do, in fact, the first thing I do in the morning
You're
is
not?
wake
I
up.
thought you were
No.
this whole time. Like, who made this bot, man? It's really so genuine.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was doing an interview about a year ago, I was talking to Thomas Hibke, who's in our community. He has a podcast, and I was telling him, like, oh yeah, Thomas, just before we start this podcast, to let you know, like, in the community, that's actually not me. This is an experiment we're doing with Facebook. And he's like, whoa, seriously? And I'm like, no, I'm kidding. But so yeah,
man.
my typical day.
You could have written that joke a little bit more, man, and like completely fucked them out. Right.
Well, yeah, that would be fun. I try not to be too evil, but yeah. So in terms of my day to day, really, it is kind of revolved around classes because obviously that is kind of my first priority. If you're going to spend, tons of money on school, you kind of have to go to classes, unfortunately. But yeah, so basically between classes, I am doing a number of things, obviously managing the community, which in more concrete terms looks like responding to people, posting new content, doing Q&A sessions, of course, deleting and banning people who are just trying to like hawk their products or live streams.
Right.
So that's the community side of things. In terms of other products that we have, if you will, I am writing blog posts. Video is a huge component of what I do. So it was fun actually over spring break, which we had about a month ago at this point. I really buckled down and was like, we need a new video course, right? The old one was like 2 years outdated. The UI is not the same. Yeah, exactly. It's much cleaner now. So, and plus we had released all these new plugins and features. So I was like, we need a new resource that people can use that's more in-depth, that's more value-oriented, and isn't just me kind of like fumbling through the Chatfuel dashboard trying to explain it without having a ton of knowledge. So recently during spring break, I did that. I spent like a couple of days really head down recording these videos. Of course, during the, in the videos, of course, I am presented as this perfectly articulate person. Obviously, that doesn't come without outtakes. There was one swearing when I, get to almost the end of the perfect take, and then I'm like, oh no, I forgot this. I fumbled over my word. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun, though. It's the struggle of creating, but at the end of that, I get a lot of fulfillment out of creating a final product and sharing that with people. So that's a big component of it. Also, our YouTube channel that's also related to videos, I manage that, respond to comments there. I do a little bit of support. I used to do more of this, but if we get different support tickets or something,
that's very personal already, and it's very hard to execute as well, especially from a community's point of view.
Yeah, you definitely can't please everybody, but you can certainly, try your best. So that's really what my role revolves around is community management, video, education. I also do weekly webinars to new users, and I'm sure there are some other things that I'm forgetting too, but that's really the bulk of what I do.
That's a lot. Oh my God! Like, if 21 Savage was listening, how many shit do you do? A lot. That's what he would say, for real. But Andrew, let's take a quick break, and when we do come back, let's do a deep dive. And again, you mentioned a lot of these things. I want to know, first of all, how do you properly design a bot? What's a good bot like, and all that stuff. And just took a deep dive. More of that after the break. Hey, hustlers. Let's talk about something really important real quick. Something that a lot of you I know can relate to, especially if you're running a business. And I'm talking about payroll. You know how hard it is and time consuming this is, especially that you have to do it twice a month. And as a guy who's been running tech startups for over 10 years now, this is something that I did not enjoy doing at all. It's not like it's because I don't like paying my employees. No, but it's already hard looking for funding to fund for your payroll, and then it's so much more harder if you're doing this manually. Luckily, I've found something that I highly recommend that you try, and it's from our friends from Payroll Hero. And here's how Payroll Hero works. They use your employee's face as your primary biometric to avoid buddy punching and ghost employees. So unless your team can figure out a way to swap each other's faces, tracking time and performance will never be your problem again. Payroll Hero is also very consumer friendly because it's also based on web and mobile, and it's also cloud-based, so you never have to worry about your clunky old biometric machines. So now you can automate time, attendance, scheduling, HRIS, and a payroll platform wrapped all in one. We have a very special bonus for you hustlers listening on the Hustleshare podcast. All you need to do is go to www.payrollhero.ph and use the promo code Hustleshare to get a 60-day free trial. That's technically 4 payrolls that you can do all for free, so you can see how it works for you. And the beauty about it is there's no upfront payment needed to do this. So never worry about payroll again. with Payroll Hero, optimizing work productivity with happiness. And we are back from the break. We're still with Andrew Demeter, the social media or community manager, right?
All the above.
There, all the above, or basically the dude that talks to all the dudes that makes bots or dudettes. We're not trying to be sexist here. Okay, so Andrew, prior to the break, you technically, again, I'm still blown away of how young you are and with what you did, because this is hard. You know, it's not easy. First question I did when you came across ChatFuel, were you a programmer by default?
No, and to this day, I am still not.
Okay, so what were you taking up, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, so I am studying journalism, actually.
Woo!
That is not what I really want to do at this point anymore.
Right.
But I think, at least how I always justify and explain it to people, is that there is a lot of overlap with what I do in journalism.
Absolutely.
The underlying theme is really communicating with people, simplifying really complex ideas into something that's digestible and makes sense for people, which I think is a really important skill to have, especially when, you know, I'm working with the engineers on our team, the software guys, they're, you know, trying to develop a new feature, or it's developed rather, and they're telling me, you know, this is how it works, this is the, you know, the way it functions and everything, and I'm like, okay, well, how do I translate all of this like technical knowledge into something that's actually into something that's actually actionable and, you know, something valuable that's different from the other features we have. So there is really a lot of overlap, right? Trying to translate the technical stuff that's confusing and verbose and jargon, as you said, to something that's, you know, people can understand in 30 seconds or less.
Correct. So again, I've had the privilege of last F8. I went to I met Dimitri. How many? I don't know how many Dimitris are.
Which one? Yeah.
Dimitri Kachin.
Yeah, Dimitri Kachin.
Right, and then he took me out along with a couple of more members. I think Andrew Yaroshevsky was there, and your CTO. We went for burritos in San Francisco. I was like, ooh, where all the luchador masks were being sold. Like, this is dope.
That's Kachin's favorite place. He took me there too, and I highly recommend it, I must say.
It's good. So whoever's attending, for those people who are in F8 right now, go check it out. It's just look it up. It's very near the town proper. But Andrew, let's talk about bots. I mean, this is the essence of it. The hustle of bot making. That's what we're going to be calling this, right? Aside from, obviously, when I always evangelize bots in what we do in Chatbot PH, as an agency, the lowest hanging fruit is us always customer service, right? The redundant, repetitive tasks. But when you properly create one, what's a good bot? How do you say that? All right, you've seen thousands and thousands of bots before. What do you think makes up a good chat bot that really works?
So I would say a couple things. First and foremost, simplicity. One of the biggest, not mistakes, because I feel like in some ways chatbots are like art, and there's not really a right or wrong. It is still, as we mentioned earlier, the Wild West in a way.
It's very nascent.
People are figuring things out. Yeah, and it also, at the end of the day, depends on your audience too. So I can't give a ton of recommendations, but one of the things I would say is simplicity. In other words, be concise with your copy. One, again, quote unquote, mistake that I see people make is, like in the welcome message, the very first message that new users see, I'll see them typing out like this wall of text, this long paragraph, and
like
it's
a whole chapter of a fucking book, right?
Exactly. And it's like, if you're going to do that, which I wouldn't recommend, like, if anywhere, put it like later on in the bot where people are deeper down the funnel and they have this loyalty, they really care about your brand and want to spend time and invest time in reading that. Whereas on the very first message of the homepage, like, imagine if on chatfuel.com we had, you know, a chapter of a book, right? People would, the bounce rate would be crazy high because people just don't want to read that. So long story short, keep it concise in terms of the copy. That's huge. Other things I would say, have a goal in mind, right? So another one of the things that I do is these onboarding calls. So basically, we have a free plan, a pro plan, and then a premium plan. Premium is the highest tier of that. It's a more white glove, hands-on type service.
Right.
So whenever somebody signs up for that, I and other members of the team hop on what's called an onboarding call with them. We basically figure out their goals and help them, use Chatfuel to its full potential. So I mention that because one of the first things that I ask people in those calls is always, what is your goal here, right? What does your business do? What are you trying to solve? What problem are you trying to solve with the bot? Because that's another big mistake that people make, is they just make a bot, which like we did at the beginning. You just make a bot because it's cool. You see the potential in it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you don't have a purpose to it, if you don't have something that provides value or unique value, if the bot just does all the same stuff that your website can do, then
it doesn't
you're
make
not
sense,
creating
right?
a user-centric experience.
And that's especially true, because especially in what we do, like for example, as an agency, right? We always say like, hey, why should I get an agency to help me out if I can make that in Chatfuel? It's like, yeah, by all means, you go use Chatfuel. However, if you're looking at it from a if you need a lot of integrations, and you know how bots, even if you have a flow to it, right? If you have that welcome message and everything spoon fed, if people deviate from that flow and start typing the way they normally type or chat businesses, and you don't have the proper integrations or NLP training, your bot is fucked, right? So sorry to cut you off, but you were saying, right? All these processes and the objective of a business is very important.
Yeah, and one other thing that I would say too is, talking about NLP, one of the again, quote unquote, misconceptions that people have about bots is that they, at least on the Chatfuel side, is that they are designed for that natural language conversation. In reality, and we don't hide this fact, the AI is really just meant for like basic keywords that people might type in. For example, like unsubscribe, or any number of 4-letter words that people are going to type if they want to unsubscribe. So that's what it's intended for. People have this misconception when they go in that, I can create this conversation around just users typing in text, which might sound good in theory, but in actuality, it's actually better to build a menu-centric or bot or button-based bot where users can go through and they have limited choices, because it's just basic psychology. When people have either tons of choices or they have to type in something themselves that's more mentally taxing, and as a result, they're more likely to get off track. They're less likely to convert to your end goal. So unless you're building like a frequently asked question bot that automates responses, which even in that case, you could make it button-based where you have these predefined questions listed out. Other than that not corner case, I should say, but other than that use case, I probably wouldn't use NLP, or if you do, obviously you can integrate something more advanced like Dialogflow or using a tool like Janus. But yeah, I would say, again, keep the copy concise, use the button-based approach as well.
That's absolutely correct. And whenever, at least from our point of view in Chatbot PH, that's actually gospel already. Like, don't ever make a bot that's open-ended. Like, how can I help you today? And there's a bazillion ways, and people by default, when they chat with the bot, here's a funny thing, because people become ruthless when they chat with it, and they try to break it. They try to say profane things, and they're like, what the hell are you guys saying? Like stupid stuff, just to try to break your bot, or even prove that, hey, your bot's not smart enough. And that's not what it is. Bots are supposed to automate, give or take around 70% of the questions that are repetitive. The 30% is that where the hard labor comes in. That's where AI training, and there's only a handful of teams that you can properly do that. And also localize that type of content depending on the country, because if it's the States, then that's fine. You're talking about English, right? But if you're talking about like Guinea or whatever, Brazil and whatnot, now you got to do the local play and translate that with NLP, with again the backbone of a platform like a Chatfuel, or whatever way you're trying to do it through that. Now, Andrew, next question. Bots are pretty robust, and you can actually just really use your imagination to build one. right? But what do you think are the key integrations or key stuff that you should integrate with the bot you make?
So I would say, obviously, it depends ultimately on your use case, but I would say one of my favorite ones that we've added in the past couple months is the Google Sheets plugin. And that's just really exciting because if you are a beginner, especially if you're running kind of a lean operation where you don't want to integrate using like Zapier, which can be costly if you're doing it at a high volume, the beauty of the Google Sheets plugin is that you can export user data, such as the information that people fill out in a lead form, directly to a Google Sheet, and it's all in one centralized place. It's completely free to do, and it's just really exciting. Previously, you could have done this using like the what's called the Send Email plugin, which sends you like an email alert whenever somebody completes a lead form. But the downside with that, I was actually just telling this to a bigger client that we have yesterday. They weren't aware of it. And we were like, hey, like, because right now, well, granted, they're just starting out, so I guess I get it. But the current way that they were doing it for testing was they were just sending information captured in the bot through an email. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this makes me cringe that you're doing this, because whenever you want to like
you're gonna have to do that one by
emails and put them into your CRM, you have to go into each individual email thread. And I was like, that sounds so painful. Like Google Sheets is easier. You like literally just do this, export it as a like Excel file, and then copy and paste that into your CRM. Like it'll save you your sanity if nothing else. And again, going back to that, what I mentioned at the very beginning about automation, that's the larger goal of Chatfuel. It's not just a technical tool. It's not just a piece of software that, allows you to make more money, which it certainly is, but it's also about, saving that time, particularly if you're a business owner. You can save all of this time using the automation features like Chatfuel. The Google Sheet plugin is a very small example of that. But doing other things like lead qualification, lead generation, doing that all on autopilot. So again, you have more time, and you can spend that in a more meaningful way.
Okay, now let's take it a notch higher. So there's a lot of OG bot makers now. The ones that are like the same. We kind of started out when you first made your course. What year was that? 2016, 2017?
I believe it was late 2016.
Yeah, same time. We did Chatbot PH, and we were the first movers, right? For those people who are literally in that grind now, and it wouldn't be unwise to actually not use Chatfuel if you can automate a lot of the stuff. I mean, it's a case to case basis, but for those OG ones who knows the product well, what should they be doing now?
Doing in terms of anything specifically, or
no, like for example, if they have a client, or what else can they build for bots in using Chatfuel or whatnot?
Yeah, so I would say that's a really great question, and since I haven't done my own agency stuff in about a year, that's tricky. I would say one of the keys that I use, though, in terms of offering like other services, upsells, if you will, that kind of stuff, is for me the template marketplace was extraordinarily successful. So and you can use it strategically too, not only because in reality, like when I was selling them, I thought templates were actually super helpful and valuable. But then in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, they're still valuable as a learning tool to see how people set up their flows. But at the end of the day, for me, and this is one of the reasons why we kind of deprecated our template marketplace on Chatfuel, or at least submissions for it, is that when we were interviewing people who use them, they're actually like, yeah, I just use this as a starting point, but when I'm actually building out my bot, like it's easier to just kind of take those principles from the template and apply them rather than actually using the template as a skeleton where you're replacing stuff, because it can just kind of be really a point of friction as opposed to like a website builder where you can use a template and everything's just on one page. It's, really simple. You just change it up. With blocks, it can kind of be trickier. So I would say think of other ways like templates to expand your level of service. Also, consulting was another thing that I did that wasn't as effective because and it could get very boring very quickly, frankly, as well.
Yeah. No, because there's different levels of interest and exposure to what bots are, and most of the time you kind of need to really spoon feed the client on what they are, because they're coming in blind. All they know majority of the times they want a bot, and they know that they need a bot, but how they're gonna build that bot, they don't know, right?
And I think I now understand your original question a little bit better too. In terms of like tips for selling to an extent, I would say whatever you do, and I did this too, it wasn't always successful, granted, but make sure that every interaction, well, maybe not every interaction ideally, but at least the first interaction, the first impression, right, when people care most and what they're going to remember most, make it rooted in value. And that sounds pretty abstract. What I mean by that is when you reach out to somebody, whether it's cold, whether it's, somebody you've known for years, don't just, again, say, I want to build you a chatbot, or you need a chatbot, right? Show them something tangible. That's the biggest thing for me, and it's become especially true in college when there's just a lot of abstract stuff. Like, I'll read these academic journal articles in school, and it's like 50 pages, and I'm like, this was so abstract. Like, I don't have any meaningful or actionable takeaways from this. It's a complete waste of time. So don't do that, right? Go to the business owner and say something like, hey, here, and I was actually working with someone for a personal project just this past couple weeks, and I used this approach. I was like, okay, so here is a screenshot. This is a message that I sent to your Facebook page. I sent it 2 weeks ago, and I've yet to get a response back. This is an example, because this was a taco shop here in DC that I was talking with, and I was like,
hey, nobody wants late tacos, my man. Holy shit.
Well, not only that, but also I'm like, because one of the big services they provide is not only the tacos, which make some money, but is catering, right? It's people are paying thousands of dollars for corporate events for food. So I'm like, I told the owner, I was like, if I were, interested in catering, and I send you this message and you don't respond in 2 weeks, you bet that I'm going to go to a competitor, and that's a couple $1,000s lost from your bottom line. So I would say, again, that's just a very specific example, but make it very tangible to the business owner. Always relate whenever you can, and if you can't, maybe that's a sign that you shouldn't be building a bot for them. Always relate what you're doing to revenue at the very least, or like donations if it's a nonprofit, something like that. At the end of the day, people care a lot about money, and you need to make that very clear. If you don't, you're not going to capture people's attention. Okay,
now a couple more questions before we go to another break. Now let's talk about you and your flow, because it's already hard doing all of this stuff, evangelizing it. You're technically Moses, right? And you're carrying all these tablets, but we're talking about bot speak, right? And you're talking to a lot of people, a lot of bot makers. Again, there's some of them are novice, pro, some of them are OG, right? But let's walk us through your day, and how do you prepare for your shit? Because you still got to balance it out with school too, right? How do you manage your time and balance that out between studying and working?
So I'll go a little bit like emotional and deep here for a second. So one of the things that I do when I first wake up is always, this was inspired actually by a class I took last year, which was one of the better classes I've taken at school, and it was called Positive Psychology. So one of the things we did in that class was, every class we would write down in a journal the things that we're grateful for, called a gratitude journal. And so, while I don't write that down physically every morning, I do mentally do it. And I think that's a really effective way to really ground your day and be grateful. It can be the simplest things like, the weather's good, I'm breathing, I'm healthy, I can see, I can walk, just basic things like that. I have food, I have water.
Or the taco shop replied. Finally.
Exactly. Right. Or they didn't, because then it's potential business. But yeah, so just starting every day from this point of gratitude rather than, I have to do this, I have to do this. There's this one quote that I really like that says, like, change the haves in your vocabulary to the gets. So in other words, like instead of I have to, write this blog post, I get to write this blog post and share, Chat Fuel and our mission with other people. So that's one thing that helps. Also, a lot of it, the really cool part of working at a startup is just that you really have flexibility. And because of that, you have more intrinsic motivation, which is really important. So in other words, like the course that I filmed recently, it would be a lot harder to do that if, somebody at kind of like the upper management level, if you want to call it that, was like, we need to do this new course, like it hasn't been updated in so long or whatever. But because I like doing that, because I like, talking about Chat Fuel, teaching new people about it, it makes it a lot easier. And I was motivated to, sit in front of my computer and curse between cuts for, 7 hours a day for like 3 days in a row. So that's really big. Just the fact that it's a startup, that you have flexibility, you can work on what you want, essentially. That's really key. Like just yesterday, as I was telling you earlier, I was working on this like video ad, basically, where nobody told me that I had to do that. It was just kind of like a fun passion project that I wanted to execute myself. So so I would say motivation, gratitude, those are in kind of an abstract way, which I was just talking about you shouldn't do. But in an abstract way, that's kind of those are two things that help me. And also, lastly, I'm also just like a very active person, if you will. Like I wouldn't say I get depressed, but I like feel low and like not at my peak performance when I like don't have anything to do. So it's almost like when I'm constantly like have a to-do list, it pushes me to keep going.
That is great advice. But real quick, Andrew, let's take another break. But when we do, let's take I want more tips and how you battle your struggles, because I'm pretty sure this is not easy. And let's talk about those battles and whatnot, and more of that after the break.
Effective automation is the best way for businesses to stay competitive. And having a chatbot for your business lets you easily automate and optimize sales, marketing, and customer service in the digital age. Chatbot PH will build, train, maintain, and market your chatbot across all messaging platforms. Our team uses the latest AI technologies to enable you to better serve customers 24/7, 365. Set a meeting with us today. Message us now at m.me/chatbotph.
And we're back for the last part of this awesome body interview with Andrew Demeter. Andrew, how are you still doing there?
Woohoo, I'm hanging in here. Like I said during the break, it's the third leg of the triathlon here, ready to go.
Let's do this. All right, so stretch run, we're going to the bullpen, and we're going to be throwing a lot of curveballs at you. Right? So
I got my bat ready to go.
Oh, let's go. Let's do this. All right. So first things first. Let's talk about, you said all the good stuff about working about in a startup, in working on bots, and and how invigorating it is. Let's talk about the other side of the coin, because it's not fun and games. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. What were your struggles in this journey that you've had? Because it's not easy. I mean, for us, we're very fortunate in Chatbot PH that we got acquired in 12 months. I don't know if you're aware of this.
No.
Since buying that domain within 12 months, we're the first in Asia to be acquired as a full agency because of chatbots. And chatbots changed my life specifically. And right now, I mean, I'm very happy because now I don't have to worry about funding and whatnot. This is again, bots, as weird as it sounds, changed my life. For you,
well, no, that's what I'll just interject on this real quickly. No, that's one of the things that really invigorates us too in Chat Fuel is hearing all these stories. Your story, obviously, there was this one guy, I believe also from the Philippines, who was telling us that he, I don't know the specifics, but he, if I recall correctly, said that he was homeless at one point or like near homeless. He was in poverty. And then he learned about Chatfuel. He started building these bots. He built up his agency, and then as a result of all that, now he's financially stable. He has this job. I don't know if he sold his agency and now he's working for another company or something. But that's an amazing story. And then one final one too is this was shared just last week in our community. This guy Robert Taylor. He through Chatfuel and working with clients, he's been able to, and he currently still is, he's traveling the world with his wife and his son. Again, going back to the automation thing, he's able to take time that he would otherwise be spending, at home or in an office potentially, doing these repetitive things. And, well, granted, it's not so much that Chatfuel is saving him the time with automation, but it's that he's able to use Chatfuel as a vehicle to provide for himself and his family. And so because of our product, it's changed his life. He's able to see more of the world, spend time with his family, make more memories, which to me is just the peak manifestation of what we love to see.
Absolutely. Now, again, let's talk about the struggles part, because this is all the good stuff, but it's all not. At the end of the day, this market is going to get saturated. Super. Like all the developers are going to look into, all right, I'm seeing this wave. These guys made it. I'm going to follow that shit. And you know what happens when that when the boat gets overloaded. But before that, what are your struggles that you recall in this journey? Because you're still very young, and I'm pretty sure you've been through so much already just being there, doing this. What were your struggles in being in this bot journey that you're in?
Well, I don't know. You say that I have a lot of struggles. I don't know if I fully agree. I'm not like Oprah, who has like this super inspiring story to share. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the struggles, I guess the main one that sticks out to me, although I don't know, I don't really consider it a struggle. It's just like part of the territory. Okay. Or it could just be my personality that I don't focus on the negative stuff and struggles and everything. But I would say the most poignant point for me was this past summer, so almost a year ago now, when we introduced new price changes, if you want to call them that in reality.
Yes.
So basically we were saying that we actually lowered our prices from what they were, but we were basically telling people there's not just going to be a free forever plan anymore. And that caused a lot of backlash, and understandably so. I mean, when people have something that's completely free and then you tell them, hey, at the end of the day, we're a business and we need, revenue to sustain that, then obviously that's going to upset some people, and it did. But then again, a lot of those people were people who probably would never have actually been our customers in the long run. But so in terms of the struggle there, it was just really a challenge to, part of my job is communicating. It was really a challenge to communicate to people this idea, right? That it's basic economics. We're a business. We need money to survive long term, as any business does. And so that's really an example of where people's emotions took precedence over reasoning, I guess. And it was just a very emotional time for a lot of people in the community. And again, I fully understand that. And so responding to that was kind of the struggle for me. One of the things we did was I interviewed the CEO of Chatfuel, again, Demeter, one of the Demetries, and kind of just asking him all these tough questions, which I actually like, because I'm very about being authentic and not trying to hide the fact that we're doing something. And I feel like transparency really goes a long way in business. I know when I had my own agency, that was something that I really focused on. People would be like, why, like you mentioned earlier, why should we hire you to do this versus just doing it ourselves when we could go into Chatfuel? And I'd basically be like, yeah, you can totally do that. I'm not trying to hide the fact. Obviously, I've done this for longer than you guys have. I have the experience. I have the inside knowledge from Chatfuel. But yeah, if you want to go build it yourself, I'm not stopping you. I'm not going to be desperate and pretend that you can't do this without me. You certainly can. You can hire somebody else. And so I think that, honesty and just being completely blunt and upfront with people goes a long way. And so that's kind of how I addressed and confronted one of the struggles while working at Chatfuel.
All right. Now, let's take it a little bit off through the struggles apart a little bit. What's probably the weirdest shit you've ever been through in Chatfuel? Because I'm pretty sure you're you're on Facebook Live a lot, right? And with Facebook Live comes too many eyeballs sometimes, and has there been a weird, like, I don't know, so advances and whatnot of people trying to screw you up or whatnot, or at least trying to flirt with you or something? That comes blurred out.
I don't think I'm that attractive. But maybe my, being a robot, the appearance has been enhanced. But I'm trying to think. The weirdest thing that's happened, nothing particularly comes to mind. I haven't been like recognized in public or anything like that.
But online, do people like try to send weird shit to you as well?
Yeah, I have had one weird message that I got. It was like a year ago or something. It's not that weird, but basically I think it was somebody who took my course. It was this woman profile picture, but who knows when you're online.
Catfishing you.
Exactly.
Manti Teo, bro. Just remember him. Okay.
But no, so the message that she sent me was something to the effect of like, I love you, like I want your voice for Christmas or something. I was like, what? I was like, what does that even mean?
Wow.
So
I know a couple of people from my team that has a crush on you, so I'm not surprised, my man. Yeah.
So that can be our next level of premium service. Get Andrew's phone number.
There you go. Or a private call with Andrew.
So I would say that's probably the weirdest example. If I gave it more time or thought I could probably think of something better, but that's all that I can think of off the top of my head.
Or you probably just deflected because you just want to focus on the positive stuff, right?
Well, we will see though, because I'm excited. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to F8, which you talked about earlier.
Yes, and by the time when this goes out, literally it's the day of F8, the first day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there, so I want to meet you, but schedule conflicts. But definitely, I'm going to check you guys out some other time.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be there, and I'll be providing some coverage. I've never been before. I was going to go last year, but due to same thing, schedule conflict with school, I couldn't go. So yeah, I'm really excited to be there, and I know quite a few people from the community will be there.
Sure.
Natasha, and I'm guessing Kyle from School of Bots, Fash, Janet Chong, I think is how you pronounce it. From Beauty Player, who's who have
Deborah K for sure is going to be there.
Who's that?
Deborah K.
Oh, Deborah. Yeah. Really? Awesome. Right. Excited to finally meet her. I know she's like crazy intelligent.
Super. Holy crap. Yeah.
Super. Because she's gone to like the top, I think she's been to like the top business schools. She used to work at Bain Capital, I think. Wow. And I'm like, I don't deserve to be in your presence.
No, but you guys are like the pillars, and we just literally spectate and we just do that. Now, couple more questions. Now, people like to polarize shit all the time, right? When there's an industry that comes in or grows, people like to polarize it. Like, are you Burger King or McDonald's? Are you Pepsi or Coke? And it's similar thing that I'm seeing right now is people always like, are you a ManyChat guy or a chat fuel guy? In my opinion, you should be both, right? Because, or you shouldn't be married to one, or you should have a weapon of choice, but you should be able to do that. But I'm pretty sure this gets brought up a lot, especially that you're with chat fuel. How do you rise about this type of polarization or fucking questions that get thrown at you?
Yeah, so talking about polarization, I think I'm the prime person to answer this, being in Washington, D.C. for school and, being in the midst of all the political battles.
Oh, my
God,
yeah, yes.
I'm
smack in the middle of this. Right.
Exactly. So in terms of how I respond to it, I used to, and I mean, if people still really ask, like I do provide this, but I used to always be like, here's the top 10 reasons why chat fuel is better than ManyChat, for example. But at the end of the day, like it is something that is specific to you. At the end of the day, you are spending a lot of your time in the dashboard of whatever bot builder you want. So obviously you have to pick something that makes sense for you. You know, I obviously am going to advocate for Chatfuel, but at the same time, again, I really value authenticity. I'm not going to be like, you know, you need to use Chatfuel or your bots are going to be terrible. Obviously, that's not the case. So it really depends on what you're trying to do and what your goals are. Obviously, I've used Chatfuel from the beginning. And aside from just the product side of things, I mean, the community that we have is really incredible. There's tons of value in there, just people to learn from. So yeah, I mean, it's ultimately your decision, and that's the beauty of having like a free market system too, where we always say internally too, we're grateful for our competitors, going back to the gratitude thing, because without them, we'd probably be at a standstill, right? If you just have like one option for a chatbot builder, then they're not going to have as much of an incentive to innovate, to hear feedback, to see what's working and not. So I think that's really the beauty of it, that we have competition, and people are always giving us feedback of like, hey, here's where you guys are doing better, here's where ManyChat's doing better, or any other bot platform, and then that helps inform our decisions of how we go forward with the product and ultimately make a more robust service.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about what's next. I mean, F8, I'm pretty sure bombs are going to be dropped for sure, right? I mean, there's integration that I'm hearing, like, I mean, they already announced it, right? Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp are all going to be done, are all going to be merged. From a bot making point of view, not just in Chatfuel, what do you think is our next couple steps that we should be aware of? Because, okay, right now, again, I always say this whenever we have meetings, the most basic form of AI is in chat. But once this gets integrated with more shit, dude, shit's going to blow up, I swear, right? But what do you think are the next waves that we should be aware of, or at least from a developer's point of view? What are the things, or the bot community to look out for?
So I am really excited. I don't have any insider information on this, although if I did, I wouldn't be able to share it anyway. But I think that Instagram will be one of the next bot platforms, which I'm really excited about, because, again, if it does actually happen, I don't think that's something that would be announced at F8 this year, but who knows?
They got to fix their APIs first, because I heard it's a mess. Right.
But yeah, I think Instagram would be really, really exciting, because right now Facebook is obviously, basically there's this like age divide, right? The stereotype, at least, and I believe the data backs this up, is that Facebook is great, but it's kind of like for an older demographic, which it's funny to call myself old at this point. But yeah, like Facebook is an older demographic, and if you want to reach younger people, there's really no way to do that currently with chatbots, other than like if they're embedded on a website or something. So I think that would be really exciting. To see bots expand to Instagram within the whole Facebook ecosystem. Similar to that, with Instagram, like you can include what are called product tags. So if you have a picture of somebody wearing an outfit, you could tag the individual articles of clothing and then like link that to an online shop. So I don't know, maybe something potentially where people can click on like a certain article of clothing or whatever the product is in an image, and then like ask questions about it in chat, or get a specific discount, or get product recommendations, something like that. That I think would be fascinating. And then in terms of Messenger, it's really hard for me to tell. I believe it was last year when they announced the augmented reality integration. I don't see that going like that, becoming that popular, I guess. I've seen it in a couple bots, but otherwise, like, I don't know if the value proposition is really there, although it is certainly cool. Other than that, I think like more on a basic level, I would like to see more like native modules, for lack of a better word, in Messenger. So things like the ability for bots to do polls, like kind of on Instagram, how you can do like a poll or a this or that question and see the actual statistics updated in real time. I think that would be really cool. I don't have like a specific use case in mind for that at this point, but I think that would be neat in terms of like creating a more interactive experience. Also, like I said, polls, just basic like a a poll, but you could select multiple options. So right now, like with quick replies, it's a big limitation in buttons. You can only select one thing at a time. If you want to like order from a restaurant, which I wouldn't suggest as a use case for bots, but just as an example, like if you want to order and pick 5 toppings for your pizza, right now you can't do that without using a web view. So making that easier, and then also just internally on the Chatfuel side, obviously this is available using other tools, but something like a native date picker or time picker, I think would be really valuable for people scheduling appointments, although you can use tools like Calendly for that as well externally. But just like more native tools to make the experience more intuitive for users without having to require a lot of developmental investment from bot builders.
And there's this other thing that, what do you call this? It's like games. I forgot what it was called. Chat
Instant
extensions.
games?
Yeah, instant games and chat extensions. There's this one that's really completely blowing away everyone. It's called Profoundly. It's the same guys who made Near Group, right? It sort of works like Omegle, right? So it kind of before it kind of like randomly hooks you up with the person that you want to chat with, and now they spun it off to something else. It's called Profoundly. Now basically you can now anonymously ask one of your friends who's also working or also using Omegle a question and whatnot. So for example, Andrew, how many abs do you like? And I can be totally fucking anonymous and you'll never know it was me, right? That's all done within Messenger. It's pretty dope, right? So it's those things, right? Other than just creating functionalities, solving real problems. I think, or don't be married to the functionalities, but be obsessed with how you're going to do the use case.
And it really is like a balancing act too, because I was thinking, I've been talking all about like value and that's obviously important, but I've been thinking too, like in one of the course videos that we recorded, we talked about Huawei. They have this Honor smartphone, which is their smartphone brand, and they did this campaign where it's like a nurture sequence and every day people get like a game to play or something. And granted, the objective there is more for like brand awareness, but you can also certainly use fun things like these games. I remember KFC, I think it was in the Philippines actually. They the people who built that bot used this instant game where I think it was like you swipe your finger and try to like, it's kind of like cornhole, but you're throwing like chicken drumsticks or something. And so I think there's definitely ways to implement like creative approaches in your bot while still having that value proposition as well.
That's correct. Now, Andrew, unfortunately, I know you have to go. You still have school and whatnot, right? It's very early where you are right now. But any last words for those people that want to check out Chatfuel, and how do they reach out to you if they want to do that?
So yeah, in terms of Chatfuel, I would say just dive in. 2 things, I guess. One, go to chatfuel.com, of course. That's where you can access the builder. It's completely free to start, and you can just sign in with your Facebook account. No, crazy sign-up stuff required. It's all very frictionless. And then once you get started, you can also go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/chatfuel, once you've played around a little bit. And we have, as I've mentioned, we have this new video course, and it's all on YouTube and individual lessons, so you don't have to sit there and like mind-numbingly watch everything. And so yeah, the video course is really helpful, particularly for beginners. It outlines like the 5 key use cases of messenger bots, including case studies, how you can use them, how other people have used them to achieve meaningful business results. It also talks about the 10 reasons why everybody should use a messenger bot, or at least most people. If you're a nursing home targeting old people, you probably don't need that. And then also just kind of the more technical approach of how to build a bot, best practices, that sort of stuff. So I would say those resources are great to start. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can do that. My email is Demeter, Demeter @chatfuel.com, or you can find me, of course, in the Chatfuel community.chatfuel.com.
Right. So again, Andrew, thank you very much for sharing your hustle with us here on Hustleshare. If you guys like that episode, please do don't forget to subscribe and follow us on whatever podcast app you're using to do this. And if you'd like to suggest any new hustler, please do message us on our chatbot for Hustleshare. It's m.me/Hustleshare, powered by ChatbotPH. And again, Andrew, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.